My name is Geneva Price, and I'm 65 years old. I've lived alone in my 3-bedroom house for the past 7 years, ever since my husband Raymond passed away. I've gotten used to the quiet, the routine, the peace of having my own space after raising 3 children and spending 40 years of marriage sharing everything. But nothing, and I mean nothing, prepared me for the day my son Marcus showed up at my front door at 9 p.m. on a Tuesday night with his wife, his 2 children, and 6 suitcases. "Ma," he said, not even waiting for me to invite him in. He just started carrying bags past me into my house. "This is our home now. We're moving in." I stood there in my nightgown and slippers, holding my cup of chamomile tea, watching my son and his family bring their entire lives into my living room. "Marcus," what I started. "We'll talk about it tomorrow, Ma," he said, his voice tight, stressed. "Right now, the kids need to sleep. Where should we put them?" And just like that, without explanation, without asking permission, my peaceful, quiet life was turned upside down. But here's what they didn't know. Here's what Marcus and his wife Tanya didn't realize when they made that decision to just show up and claim my home as theirs. I knew exactly why they were there. I knew exactly what had happened, and I had a plan. A plan that was going to teach all of them a lesson they'd never forget. But before I tell you what happened next, I need you to do something for me right now. Hit that subscribe button. Click it. Then hit that like button too, because this story is about to take you on a journey full of surprises and truth. Turn on your notifications, that little bell, so you never miss stories like this. Real stories about family, boundaries, and what happens when people take advantage of the ones who love them. And drop a comment right now. Tell me where you're watching from. What city? What state? What country? I want to know who's here with me today, because stories like this, they're happening everywhere. And I need to know I'm not alone in what I went through. Now, let me take you back. Let me tell you how I ended up standing in my living room at 9 p.m. watching my son move his entire family into my house without even asking. To understand that night, you have to understand my relationship with Marcus. Marcus is my middle child. I have 3 kids, Jessica, the oldest at 42, Marcus at 39, and my baby, Terrence, at 35. All my kids are different. Jessica is independent, strong-willed, has her own business and her own life. Terrence is creative, works as a graphic designer, married with 1 child, doing well. But Marcus has always been the one who struggled, not because he wasn't smart or capable, but because he made poor choices, over and over again. He dropped out of college twice. He jumped from job to job, never staying anywhere long enough to build a career. He married Tanya when they were both 23, too young, too fast, without really knowing each other. They had their first child, Aisha, at 24, their second, Marcus Jr., at 26. And from that point on, their lives have been chaos. Not bad people, not terrible parents, just constantly struggling, constantly making decisions that dug them deeper into holes instead of climbing out. Over the years, I'd helped them, many times. When they got evicted from their first apartment because Marcus lost his job, I lent them $2,000 for a deposit on a new place. When their car broke down and they couldn't afford repairs, I paid for it. When they couldn't make rent, I'd slip Tanya money to cover the shortfall. When the kids needed school supplies, winter coats, shoes, I provided. I never asked for the money back. I just helped, because that's what mothers do. That's what family does. But about 6 months ago, something changed. I stopped getting calls from Marcus asking how I was doing. I stopped getting visits from the grandkids. I stopped hearing from them altogether. Unless they needed money. Then suddenly Marcus would call, "Ma, I need a favor." Always a favor, never just "I love you," never just "How are you doing," never just wanting to spend time with me. Just favors. The last time Marcus called asking for money was 3 weeks ago. "Ma, we're short on rent again. Can you help us out? Just $800. I'll pay you back next month when I get my bonus." I'd heard that promise before, many times. The money never came back. But this time, I said something different. "No, Marcus. Silence on the other end. No, he repeated, like he couldn't believe what he'd heard. No, I can't help you this time. Ma, what do you mean you can't help? You have money. You have your pension, Dad's life insurance, your savings. And it's my money, Marcus, for my retirement, for my future. I've helped you for years. I think it's time you figure this out on your own. I can't believe you're doing this, he said, his voice turning cold. After everything, you're just going to turn your back on your own son. I'm not turning my back on you. I'm setting a boundary. There's a difference. He hung up on me. That was 3 weeks ago. I hadn't heard from him since. Until tonight, when he showed up at my door with bags and declared my home was now his home. So there I stood, watching Marcus and Tanya drag suitcases into my living room. My grandchildren, Aisha, 15, and Marcus, Jr., 13, looked exhausted and confused. Grandma, Aisha said quietly, what's happening? I don't know, baby, I said honestly. But let's get you settled for tonight. You can sleep in your Uncle Terrence's old room. Marcus, Jr., can take your Uncle Marcus's old room. Where are we going to sleep? Tanya asked. It was the first time she'd spoken to me directly. I looked at her, really looked at her. She looked tired, stressed, but also entitled, like she expected me to just roll over and accommodate them. The guest room has a queen bed, I said evenly. You and Marcus can sleep there. Thank you, she said, but it didn't sound grateful. It sounded expectant, like I owed them this. I helped the kids get settled, gave them fresh towels, made sure they brushed their teeth, tucked them in like I used to when they were little and visited for sleepovers. Grandma, are we going to live here now? Marcus Jr. asked as I pulled his covers up. I don't know, sweetie. We'll talk about it tomorrow. I hope we do, he said. I like it here, it's quiet. That broke my heart a little. What kind of chaos had these children been living in that my quiet house felt like peace to them? After the kids were asleep, I went back downstairs. Marcus and Tanya were in my kitchen. Marcus was making a sandwich. Tanya was looking through my refrigerator like she owned it. We need to talk, I said. Marcus turned around. Ma, I'm tired. Can we do this tomorrow? No, we're doing it now. What's going on? Why are you here? He sighed heavily. We got evicted. Landlord kicked us out today. We had nowhere else to go. So you just decided to move into my house without asking. You're my mother, he said, like that explained everything. This is what family does. They help each other. Help is one thing, Marcus. Moving in without permission is another. You didn't even call. You just showed up. Would you have said yes if I'd called? He challenged. I thought about it. I don't know, but you should have given me the chance to decide. This is my home. It's a 3-bedroom house, Ma. You live here alone. You have the space. That's not the point. Then what is the point? Tanya interrupted, her voice sharp. You're going to turn away your own son, your own grandchildren, let them sleep on the street. Nobody said anything about the street, I said calmly. But there are other options, shelters, rental assistance programs, friends, family. You have a mother too, Tanya. My mother doesn't have room, she said quickly, too quickly. Or she said no, I said quietly. Tanya's face flushed red. Look, Ma, Marcus said, we just need a place to stay for a few weeks, just until we get back on our feet, find a new place, save up some money, that's it. A few weeks, I repeated. Yeah, that's all. I looked at my son, at his wife, at the mess they'd made of their lives through one poor decision after another. And I made a choice. Okay, I said. They both looked surprised. Okay, Marcus said. You can stay for a few weeks, but we're going to have rules. Rules, Tanya said, her tone dismissive. Yes, rules. This is my house. If you're going to live here, you're going to respect my space and my boundaries. Ma, we're not children, Marcus started. Then don't act like children, I said sharply. Rule number 1, you will contribute to household expenses. Food, utilities, everything. I'm not running a free hotel. We don't have money right now. Then you'll contribute in other ways. Cleaning, Cooking. Helping maintain the house. Everyone pulls their weight. Marcus nodded reluctantly. Rule number 2. You will actively look for work and for a new place to live. This is temporary, not permanent. We know that. Rule number 3. You will respect my schedule and my privacy. I wake up at 6 a.m. I go to bed at 9 p.m. I have my routines. You don't disrupt them. Fine, Tanya said, her jaw tight. And rule number 4, I said, looking directly at Marcus. You will treat me with respect. I'm doing you a favor. Don't forget that. Silence. Can you all agree to these rules? I asked. Yes, Ma, Marcus said quietly. Tanya. Yes, she muttered. Good. Now finish your sandwich and go to bed. We'll talk more in the morning. They went upstairs. I heard them whispering to each other, probably complaining about my rules. I didn't care. Because what they didn't know, what they had no idea about, was that I wasn't just helping them out of the kindness of my heart. I was setting a trap. Not a cruel trap, not a malicious trap, but a trap designed to teach them a lesson, to show them exactly what they'd been doing to me for years, to make them understand what it felt like to be used, to be taken for granted, to be treated like a resource instead of a person. Over the next few weeks, I was going to show my son and his wife exactly who Geneva Price was. And when I was done, they were going to understand that respect isn't optional. It's earned. I went upstairs to my bedroom, locked my door, something I'd never had to do in my own house before, and sat on my bed. I pulled out my phone and made a call. Jessica, it's Ma. I need to talk to you about something. Marcus and his family just moved in with me. What, without asking? Without asking, just showed up with bags and said this is our home now. Ma, you have to kick them out. You can't let them just take over your house. I'm not kicking them out. I have a different plan, but I'm going to need your help. And Terrence's too. What kind of plan? I smiled. The kind that's going to teach your brother a lesson he'll never forget. After I hung up with Jessica, I pulled out a notebook and started writing. A detailed plan, day by day, week by week. Because Marcus thought he could just move into my house and take advantage of his mother. But he was about to learn that Geneva Price wasn't the pushover he thought she was. And when this was all over, my son was either going to be a better man, or he was going to be out of my life for good. Before I continue this story, kindly subscribe, like, turn on the notification bell, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. The next morning, I woke up at exactly 6 a.m., just like I did every day. I put on my robe, went downstairs, and started my morning routine. Coffee, oatmeal, the morning news on low volume while I read my devotional. At 6:45 a.m., I heard footsteps on the stairs. Marcus Jr. appeared in the kitchen doorway, rubbing his eyes. Good morning, baby, I said softly. You're up early. I have school, he said. Mom usually wakes me up at 7, but I heard you down here. Did you sleep okay? He nodded. Better than at home, it's quieter here. That comment again, my heart ached. Are you hungry? I can make you breakfast. Mom usually gives us money for school breakfast. Well, today Grandma's going to make you a proper breakfast. Sit down. I made him scrambled eggs, toast, and fresh orange juice. He ate like he was starving. When's the last time you had a home-cooked breakfast? I asked gently. He shrugged. I don't remember. Mom and Dad are always in a hurry in the mornings. At 7:15, Aisha came down. I made her breakfast too. At 7:45, I drove them both to school, something I learned their parents rarely did. They usually took the bus or walked, even in bad weather. When I got back home at 8:30, Marcus and Tanya were still asleep. I went upstairs and knocked on the guest room door. No answer. I knocked louder. What? Tanya's voice, groggy and irritated. It's 8:30, time to get up. Why? We don't have anywhere to be. Because, I said through the door, we agreed that everyone contributes. That means you're helping me clean this house today. Silence. Then Marcus's voice. Ma, we're tired. We just moved yesterday. Can we have one day to rest? You can rest after you help. I'll be waiting downstairs. You have 30 minutes. I went back down to the kitchen and waited. 45 minutes later, they finally appeared, both looking annoyed. Good morning, I said cheerfully. There's coffee and oatmeal if you want breakfast. I don't eat oatmeal, Tanya muttered, pouring herself coffee. Then you're welcome to make yourself something else, after we clean. Ma, what exactly are we cleaning? Marcus asked. Your house is already spotless. The guest room bathroom needs scrubbing. The windows need washing. The basement needs organizing. There's plenty to do. Tanya's jaw dropped. You want us to clean your basement? I want us to clean it together. I'm 65 years old. I need help with the heavy lifting. This is ridiculous, Tanya said. We're not your servants. No, you're my guests. Guests who are staying for free. Guests who eat my food, use my utilities, and sleep in my beds. The least you can do is help maintain the space. Marcus put his hand on Tanya's arm. It's fine. We'll help Ma. We spent the next 4 hours cleaning. I worked right alongside them, showing them that I wasn't asking them to do anything I wasn't willing to do myself. But I also watched them, closely. Tanya complained constantly. This is too much. Why do you need this so clean? Nobody even uses this room. Marcus worked silently, but I could see the resentment in his eyes. Neither of them asked me about my life, how I was doing, what I'd been up to, if I needed anything. It was all about them, their inconvenience, their discomfort. Just like always. After we finished cleaning, I made lunch, simple sandwiches and soup. As we ate, I said, so tell me, what's your plan for finding work in a new place? Marcus and Tanya exchanged a glance. I'm looking for jobs online, Marcus said vaguely. What kind of jobs? Warehouse work, delivery driving, whatever I can find. And you? I asked Tanya. I'm not working right now, she said. Someone needs to be home with the kids. The kids are in school all day, I pointed out. Well, I'm looking into some work-from-home opportunities. Like what? I don't know yet. I'm still researching. In other words, neither of them was actively looking for work. Okay, I said. Here's what we're going to do. Starting tomorrow, you're both going to spend 4 hours a day job hunting. Applications, interviews, networking, whatever it takes. Ma, you can't tell us what to do, Marcus started. I can if you're living in my house rent-free. You said you needed a few weeks to get back on your feet. That means actively working toward getting back on your feet, not just sitting around waiting for opportunities to fall in your lap. We are working on it. Then it should be easy to show me your progress. Every evening at dinner, we'll talk about what you did that day, what applications you submitted, what leads you followed up on. Tanya's face turned red. You're treating us like children. I'm treating you like adults who need accountability. If you don't like it, you're free to make other arrangements. The table fell silent. That's what I thought, I said quietly. Finish your lunch, then I need you to pick up the kids from school. I have a doctor's appointment. I didn't really have a doctor's appointment, but I needed them to start taking responsibility for their own children. While they were gone, I made a phone call to my daughter, Jessica. How's Operation Wake Up Call going? She asked with a laugh. Day 1 is going exactly as planned. They're already annoyed with my rules. Good. They need to understand what you've been doing for them all these years. Maybe if they have to actually work and contribute, they'll appreciate it. How's your part coming along? I asked. All set. Terrence and I will be ready whenever you need us. After we hung up, I sat in my quiet living room and thought about what I was doing. Some people might think I was being too hard on Marcus and Tanya, too controlling, too harsh. But those people didn't understand. For years, I'd been enabling my son's poor choices by always bailing him out, by making life easy when it should have been hard, by protecting him from consequences. And where had it gotten him? 39 years old, evicted, unemployed, moving into his mother's house without even asking. It was time for tough love. Not cruelty, not revenge, but real, genuine, this is for your own good love. When Marcus and Tanya returned with the kids, I had dinner already prepared. We sat down as a family, something I realized they probably rarely did. So, I said brightly, tell me about your days, kids first, how was school? Aisha and Marcus Jr. actually opened up, told me about their classes, their friends, their teachers. I listened, really listened, asked questions, showed interest. Marcus and Tanya sat there silently, picking at their food. When the kids finished talking, I turned to Marcus and Tanya. Your turn. What did you accomplish today? Any job applications? Ma, we just got here yesterday, Marcus started. Which is why today is the perfect day to start. So, anything. I looked at some job postings, Marcus said defensively. Did you apply to any? Not yet. I'm still deciding which ones are a good fit. Tanya. I signed up for some freelance websites for remote work opportunities. That's good. Did you complete any profiles? Submit any proposals? Not yet. These things take time. Yes, they do, which is why you should have started today. Tomorrow, I expect to see actual applications, actual effort. The tension at the table was thick enough to cut with a knife. After dinner, the kids went upstairs to do homework. Marcus and Tanya started to follow them. Dishes, I said simply. They both turned around. What? Tanya asked. Dishes. You cooked. Oh, wait, I cooked. You ate, you clean. Ma, can we just? Marcus began. No, we had an agreement. Everyone contributes. I cooked. You clean, that's fair. I went upstairs, leaving them in the kitchen with a sink full of dishes. I heard them whispering angrily to each other as they cleaned. Good, let them be angry. Anger would eventually turn into action, or it would turn into them leaving. Either way, I'd accomplish my goal. Over the next week, the pattern continued. Every morning, I woke them up at 6:30, fed the kids breakfast, drove them to school. Every day, I gave Marcus and Tanya tasks, grocery shopping, yard work, errands, always with the expectation that they'd also be job hunting. Every evening, I asked for updates on their job search. And every evening, they had excuses. The applications take too long to fill out. Nobody's responding to my resume. I'm not qualified for most of these jobs. The good jobs aren't hearing right now. Meanwhile, I watched them, really watched them. During the day, when they thought I wasn't paying attention, they were on their phones, scrolling social media, watching videos, playing games. They weren't job hunting, they were just killing time. Waiting for me to get tired of asking, waiting for me to just let them coast. But I wasn't going to let up. One week in, I got a phone call while I was at the grocery store. It was the school. Aisha was sick. Could someone pick her up? I called Marcus. The school called, Aisha's sick, can you go get her? Ma, I'm in the middle of something. In the middle of what? You don't have a job, go get your daughter. I don't have a car. Take mine, keys are on the hook by the door. I don't know where the school is. It's the same school you enrolled her in. Figure it out. She's your daughter, Marcus. Go take care of her. I hung up. 20 minutes later, I got a call from Tanya. Geneva, we need you to pick up Aisha. Marcus can't find the school. Then you pick her up. I don't have a car either. I just told Marcus to take mine. He said he's not comfortable driving your car. Then walk, call a taxi, call an Uber. But one of you needs to get your sick daughter from school. I'm not doing it. I'm busy. You're her grandmother. And you're her parents. Act like it. I hung up. I finished my grocery shopping, then drove to the school myself, because I knew they wouldn't. When I arrived, Aisha was sitting in the nurse's office, looking miserable. Where are your parents? I asked gently. I don't know, Grandma. I called them, but they didn't answer. I signed her out and drove her home. When we got there, Marcus and Tanya were sitting on the couch watching TV. I walked past them without saying a word, took Aisha upstairs, gave her medicine, and tucked her into bed. Then I came back downstairs. Living room. Now, I said to Marcus and Tanya. They followed me reluctantly. Your daughter was sick at school, I said, my voice calm but ice cold. She needed to be picked up. You both refused. I had to leave what I was doing to take care of your child. Ma, we didn't refuse, Marcus started. You made excuses. You said you couldn't. But the truth is, you didn't want to be inconvenienced. You wanted me to handle it like I always do. That's not fair. What's not fair is a 15-year-old girl sitting in a nurse's office wondering why her parents won't come get her. What's not fair is me having to parent your children because you won't. Tanya stood up. You know what, Geneva? I'm tired of this. We came here because we needed help, not to be lectured and treated like we're incompetent. Then stop being incompetent, I said simply. Get jobs, take care of your kids, act like adults. We're trying, she shouted. No, you're not. You're sitting on my couch watching TV while your daughter is sick upstairs. That's not trying. That's coasting. Marcus stood up too. Ma, maybe we should just leave, find somewhere else to go. Where? I asked. Where are you going to go with no money, no job, and no plan? We'll figure it out. Like you've figured everything else out. How's that working for you? The words hung in the air like a slap. Marcus's face crumpled. For the first time since he'd arrived, I saw something other than entitlement in his eyes. I saw shame. I know I've messed up, he said quietly. I know I've made bad choices, but Ma, I'm trying, I really am. Then show me, I said. Don't tell me, show me. Get a job, any job, take care of your kids, take responsibility for your life, because I'm not going to keep enabling you to fail. Enabling, Tanya said. You think helping your family is enabling. When that help prevents them from learning and growing, yes, that's exactly what it is. I walked to the door and opened it. You have a choice. You can stay here, follow my rules, and actually work toward building a better life. Or you can leave and figure it out on your own. But you don't get to stay here and do nothing. Those days are over. They stood there, stunned. Think about it, I said. Let me know your decision by tomorrow morning. I went upstairs to check on Aisha, leaving them standing in the living room. When I came back down an hour later, they were gone. Their bedroom door was closed. I heard them arguing inside, low, intense voices. I didn't try to listen. I didn't care what they were saying. I'd drawn my line in the sand. Now they had to decide which side they were going to stand on. The next morning, I woke up to an empty house. Marcus, Tanya, and the kids were gone. Their suitcases were gone. The beds were stripped. There was a note on the kitchen table. Ma, we've gone to stay with Tanya's cousin for a few days. We need space to think. We'll be in touch. Marcus. I read the note twice. Then I picked up my phone and called Jessica. They left, I said. Already? Wow, I didn't think they'd give up that fast. They didn't give up. They're regrouping, trying to find an easier option, but there isn't one. What are you going to do? Phase 2, I said. It's time. Are you sure, Ma? This is going to hurt. I know, but sometimes love has to hurt before it can heal. I hung up and sat down at my kitchen table. My house was quiet again, empty again. Part of me felt relief, but another part of me felt sadness, because I knew what was coming next, and it was going to change everything. Before I continue this story, kindly subscribe, like, turn on the notification bell, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. 3 days passed without a word from Marcus. No calls, no texts, nothing. I went about my life as usual, volunteered at the church food pantry on Wednesday, had lunch with my friends on Thursday, went to my book club on Friday evening. But I was waiting for the phone to ring, waiting for Marcus to realize that Tanya's cousin's couch wasn't a long-term solution, waiting for him to come crawling back. On Saturday morning, my phone finally rang. It was Marcus. Ma, he said, his voice sounded defeated. Can we talk? I'm listening. Can we come back, please? Tanya's cousin can only keep us for one more night. We have nowhere else to go. What about a shelter? I asked calmly. Ma, I can't take my kids to a shelter. Why not? Lots of families use shelters as temporary housing. There's no shame in it. Please, Ma, just let us come back. We'll follow your rules. We'll do whatever you want. I paused, letting him sit in the silence. Whatever I want, I repeated. Yes, anything. Okay, you can come back, but things are going to be different this time. Different how? You'll see when you get here. Come by this afternoon, 2 p.m. I hung up before he could ask more questions. Then I called Jessica and Terrence. They're coming back, I said. It's time for phase 2. At exactly 2 p.m., Marcus's car pulled into my driveway. But when they came to the door, they weren't alone. Tanya's mother, Linda, was with them. Interesting. I opened the door. Come in. They filed into my living room. The kids looked tired and stressed. Marcus looked embarrassed. Tanya looked defiant. And Linda looked angry. Geneva, Linda said, her voice sharp. We need to talk about how you've been treating my daughter and her family. I sat down in my armchair. I'm listening. Tanya told me about your ridiculous rules, about how you're treating them like servants, making them clean your house, controlling their every move, interrogating them every night. This isn't help. This is abuse. I looked at Tanya. Is that what you told her, that I'm abusing you? Tanya looked away. Linda, I said calmly, did Tanya tell you that they showed up at my house at 9 p.m. without warning, moved in without asking, and expected me to just take care of them indefinitely? Linda's mouth opened, then closed. Did she tell you that I've been lending them money for years? Thousands of dollars that they never paid back? Did she tell you that they got evicted because they didn't pay rent, even though Marcus had a job? That's not, Tanya started. It is, I said firmly. Marcus, how much money have I given you over the past 5 years? He looked at the floor. How much? I repeated. I don't know exactly, he mumbled. I do, $18,000, not including the things I bought for the kids, not including the bills I paid directly. $18,000 in cash over 5 years. Linda's eyes widened. And in those 5 years, how much have you paid back? Silence. Nothing, I said. Not $1. So when they showed up at my door expecting me to just take care of them again, I said yes. But with conditions, with boundaries, with expectations that they would contribute and work toward independence. They're family, Linda said, but her voice had lost its edge. Family helps each other. You're absolutely right. Family does help each other. So tell me, Linda, why didn't they come stay with you? Tanya's head snapped up. I don't have room, Linda said quickly. You have a 4-bedroom house. I've been there. 2 of those bedrooms are empty now that your kids are grown. Linda's face flushed. It's complicated. It's not complicated. You said no, and that's okay. You're allowed to set boundaries with your adult children, just like I am. I turned to Marcus and Tanya. Here's the situation. You can stay here, but the rules from before still apply, plus some new ones. What new ones? Marcus asked warily. Starting Monday, you're both getting jobs, I don't care what kind. Fast food, retail, warehouse work, cleaning, whatever you can find. You have until Monday to find employment or you leave. Ma, that's only 2 days. Then you'd better get started today. There are help wanted signs all over this town. You can have a job by Monday if you're willing to take what's available instead of waiting for the perfect opportunity. And the other rules, Tanya asked. You pay rent, $800 a month. That's half of what you'd pay anywhere else. That money goes into an account. When you leave, you get it back as a security deposit for your next place. We don't have $800. You will once you start working. First payment is due at the end of the month. That gives you 3 weeks to earn it. What else? Marcus asked. Family counseling, all of us, once a week. We clearly have communication issues that need to be addressed. I'm not going to therapy, Tanya said defiantly. Then you're not staying here, I said simply. Those are the terms, take them or leave them. Linda stood up. Geneva, this is excessive. They just need a little help getting back on their feet. No, Linda, they need to learn how to stand on their own feet. There's a difference. I'm offering them a roof, food, and support while they do the hard work of building a real life. But I'm not going to enable them to stay stuck. I looked at Marcus, really looked at him. Baby, I love you. You're my son. But love doesn't mean doing everything for you. Sometimes love means making you uncomfortable, making you work, making you grow. His eyes filled with tears. I know I've failed you, I continued. By always bailing you out, I taught you that there would never be consequences. That mom would always fix it. But I can't fix this, Marcus. You have to fix it, you and Tanya together. We don't know how, he whispered. Then you learn. That's what adults do. They figure it out. Linda gathered her purse. Tanya, come on. You don't have to stay here and be treated like this. Tanya looked at her mother, then at Marcus, then at her children who were sitting quietly on the couch, watching everything unfold. Where would we go? Tanya asked her mother. Linda hesitated. You could stay with me just for a little while. How long is a little while? Tanya pressed. I don't know, a week, 2 weeks. And then what? We'll be right back where we are now. Tanya turned to me. If we stay, if we follow your rules, will you really help us? Or is this just about punishing us? This is about teaching you, I said. About showing you what it takes to build a stable life. About helping you become the parents your children deserve. She looked at Marcus. They had a silent conversation with their eyes. Finally, Marcus spoke. We'll stay. We'll do it your way. All of it, I asked. Jobs, rent, counseling, everything. Yes. I nodded. Okay, Linda, thank you for bringing them. You're welcome to visit anytime. Linda looked like she wanted to argue more, but she just shook her head and left. After she was gone, I turned to the kids. Aisha, Marcus, JR, go upstairs and unpack. This is still your home, for now. They nodded and headed upstairs with their bags. Once they were gone, I looked at Marcus and Tanya. Tomorrow is Sunday. We're all going to church together. Then we're coming back here and you're both going to spend the afternoon applying for jobs online and making a list of everywhere you can go apply in person on Monday. Okay, Marcus said quietly. And Monday morning, you're starting your job search at 8 a.m. You don't come back until you have employment, both of you. What if we can't find anything in one day? Tanya asked. Then you keep looking on Tuesday and Wednesday and however long it takes, but you don't stop until you have a job. They both nodded. Now let's have dinner. I made pot roast. We ate in near silence. The kids tried to make small talk, but Marcus and Tanya were too shell-shocked to engage much. After dinner, after the dishes were done, after the kids were in bed, Marcus knocked on my bedroom door. Ma, can I talk to you? I let him in. We sat on the edge of my bed, like we used to when he was young and had problems he needed to talk through. Why are you doing this? He asked. Really? What do you mean? This whole thing, the rules, the tough love, you've never been like this before, you've always just helped, no questions asked. I took a deep breath. Marcus, do you remember when you were 16 and you got caught shoplifting? He looked surprised by the question. Yeah, you and Dad grounded me for a month. Do you remember what your father said to you? Marcus thought for a moment. He said consequences teach you what words can't. That's right, he wanted to bail you out. To pay the fine, talk to the store owner, make it all go away. But I stopped him. I said you needed to face the consequences, work off the debt, learn the lesson. I remember, I hated you for that. I know, but did you ever shoplift again? No. Because you learned, because consequences taught you. And Marcus, I should have kept teaching you that lesson. But after your father died, I got soft. I was grieving. You were grieving. And I started fixing things for you instead of making you fix them yourself. I took his hand. Every time I gave you money, every time I bilaid you out, I was teaching you that you didn't have to be responsible. That mom would always be there to catch you. And I created this cycle where you kept falling because you knew I'd catch you. Tears rolled down his cheeks. I'm not catching you anymore, baby. I'm standing here with my arms open, ready to support you while you learn to stand. But I'm not carrying you. Not anymore. What if I can't do it? He whispered. What if I fail? Then you get back up and try again. That's what life is, Marcus. It's not about never falling. It's about learning to get back up. And I'll be here to encourage you, to guide you, to believe in you. But I won't do it for you. He broke down completely then, sobbing like a child. I held him while he cried, while years of frustration and failure and shame poured out. I'm so tired, Ma, he said. I'm so tired of struggling. Of disappointing everyone. Of disappointing myself. I know, baby, I know. I don't know how to be better. Yes, you do. You just have to do it. One day at a time. One choice at a time. One step at a time. We sat there for a long time, mother and son, healing together. When he finally left my room, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Hope. Real, genuine hope that my son might finally be ready to change. The next morning, we all went to church together. Afterward, just as I'd said, Marcus and Tanya spent the afternoon on my computer, applying for jobs. I checked on them periodically, made sure they were actually working and not just scrolling. By evening, Marcus had applied to 15 positions. Tanya had applied to 12. Good, I said. Tomorrow, you're hitting the pavement. I'm making you a list of every place within 5 miles that might be hearing. Monday morning came early. I woke them up at 7 a.m., made them breakfast, gave them the list I'd created. Start at the top and work your way down. Don't come back until you have at least 3 applications submitted in person. They left at 8 a.m. I spent the day cleaning, running errands, and waiting. At 2 p.m., my phone rang. It was Marcus. Ma, I got a job. What? A warehouse job, loading trucks. It's hard work and the pay isn't great, but they hired me on the spot. I start tomorrow. I felt tears prick my eyes. Marcus, that's wonderful. I'm still out with Tanya. She's had 2 interviews so far, waiting to hear back. Keep going. Don't stop until she has something too. At 5 p.m., they came home. Marcus was beaming. Tanya looked exhausted but hopeful. I have a job, Tanya said. Retail, at the department store. Part-time to start, but they said it could become full-time. I hugged them both. I'm so proud of you, I said. Both of you, this is exactly what I wanted to see. Effort, action, progress. We celebrated with a special dinner. I made their favorite, fried chicken, mac and cheese, collard greens. The kids were excited. For the first time since they'd arrived, there was lightness in the house. Hope. After dinner, while Marcus and Tanya were cleaning up, my phone rang. It was a number I didn't recognize. Hello. Mrs. Price, this is Detective Morrison with the County Police Department. I need to speak with you about your son, Marcus Price. My heart stopped. What about him? We have a warrant for his arrest, for unpaid child support, for a child that's not Aisha or Marcus Jr. The world tilted. What? I whispered. Is Marcus there? We need him to come down to the station. I looked toward the kitchen where Marcus was laughing with his family, celebrating his new job. And I realized I didn't know my son at all. I stood there, frozen, phone pressed to my ear, listening to Detective Morrison explain that my son had a warrant for his arrest. Mrs. Price, are you still there? Yes, I managed. I'm here, but there must be some mistake. Marcus only has 2 children. According to our records, there's a 3rd child, a daughter, born 8 years ago. The mother filed for child support in family court 4 years ago. Marcus has never paid. He owes over $32,000 in back support. My legs felt weak. I sat down on the stairs. What's the mother's name? I can't disclose that information, But Marcus needs to come in and address this warrant. If he doesn't, we'll be forced to arrest him." "When?" I asked. "He has 48 hours to turn himself in. After that, we'll come looking for him." After I hung up, I sat there on the stairs for a long time, trying to process what I'd just heard. Marcus had another child, a daughter, 8 years old. That meant he'd cheated on Tanya, or they'd separated and he hadn't told me, and he'd abandoned this child, left her and her mother without support for years. And all that time, he'd been coming to me for money. Money he said was for rent, for food, for his family, while his other daughter went without. I felt sick. I stood up slowly and walked into the kitchen. Marcus and Tanya were laughing about something. The kids were upstairs doing homework. "Marcus," I said quietly, "I need to speak with you, alone." The smile faded from his face when he saw my expression. "Ma, what's wrong?" "Living room, now." Tanya started to follow. "Just Marcus," I said firmly. We sat down. I looked at my son, this man I'd raised, sacrificed for, loved unconditionally, and I felt something I'd never felt toward him before. Disgust. "I just got a call from the police," I said. His face went white. "The police? They have a warrant for your arrest, for unpaid child support, for a child I didn't know existed." The room went completely silent. "Ma, I can explain. You have another child, Marcus, an 8-year-old daughter." He put his head in his hands. "Answer me." "Yes," he whispered. "Yes, I have another daughter." "Does Tanya know?" He shook his head. "So you've been lying to everyone, to your wife, to me, to your children for 8 years. "Ma, it's complicated." "It's not complicated. You had a child and you abandoned her. You've been coming to me for money, crying about how hard things are, while your daughter and her mother were struggling without any support from you." "I didn't abandon her." "You owe $32,000 in child support, Marcus. That's 4 years of not paying a single dollar. What do you call that?" Tanya appeared in the doorway. "What's going on?" Marcus looked at her, then at me, then back at her. "You need to tell her," I said, "right now." "Tell me what?" Tanya asked, fear creeping into her voice. Marcus stood up, his hands shaking. "Tanya, 8 years ago when we separated for those 6 months, I was with someone else, and she got pregnant." Tanya's hand flew to her mouth. "I have another daughter. Her name is Kennedy. She's 8 years old." The sound that came out of Tanya was somewhere between a sob and a scream. "You have a whole other child, and you never told me." "We were separated. We got back together. We've been together for 7 years since then. You've been lying to me for 7 years." "I didn't know how to tell you." "How about Tanya? I have another child. How about being honest? How about being a man and taking responsibility?" She turned to me. "Did you know about this?" "I found out 5 minutes ago," I said. "The police called. There's a warrant for his arrest." Tanya sank down onto the couch. "This can't be happening. This can't be real." "It's real," I said. "And it gets worse. He owes $32,000 in child support, money he could have been paying if he hadn't been wasting it, money I gave him that he could have used to support his daughter." Tanya looked at Marcus like she'd never seen him before. "All those times you said you needed money for Aisha and Marcus, Jr. Were you lying about that too?" "No, I really did need it for them." "But you also had another child who needed it, a child you pretended didn't exist." Aisha appeared at the top of the stairs. "Why is everyone yelling?" We all froze. "Go back to your room, baby," Tanya said, her voice breaking. "Mom, what's wrong?" "Just go to your room, please." Aisha hesitated, then disappeared back upstairs. I looked at Marcus, this man who was supposed to be my son, who I'd loved and supported and believed in. "Get out," I said quietly. "Ma." "Get out of my house." "Ma, please." "You have 48 hours to turn yourself in to the police. I suggest you spend that time figuring out how to be honest with your family for the first time in 8 years. But you're not doing it under my roof. Where am I supposed to go? I don't care, a hotel, your car, a shelter, anywhere but here. Tanya stood up. I'm going with him. I looked at her surprised. Tanya. He's my husband, for better or worse. And right now it's definitely worse, but I'm not abandoning him. What about the kids? I asked. Can they stay here, just for tonight? I need to process this, figure out what to do, but I don't want them to see me fall apart. I nodded. Of course they can stay. Marcus and Tanya gathered a few things and left. I went upstairs to talk to the kids. They were both in Aisha's room, looking scared. What happened, Grandma? Marcus Jr. asked. I sat down on the bed between them. Your parents are going through something difficult right now. They're going to stay somewhere else tonight while they work it out, but you two are staying here with me. Are they getting divorced? Aisha asked, her voice small. I don't know, baby. I hope not, but that's between them. Is it because of us? Marcus Jr. asked. Because we're too much trouble. My heart broke. No, sweetheart, this has nothing to do with you. Your parents love you very much. They're just dealing with some grown-up problems right now. I held them both while they cried. Later that night, after they'd gone to sleep, I sat in my living room and thought about everything that had happened. Marcus had another child, a daughter he'd never mentioned, never supported, never acknowledged. And I'd been funding his irresponsibility without knowing it. All those years of giving him money, thinking I was helping my grandchildren, and he had a whole other child he was neglecting. I felt betrayed, used, foolish. But more than that, I felt sad. Sad for that little girl, Kennedy, who had a father who pretended she didn't exist. Sad for Aisha and Marcus Jr., who were about to learn their father had lied to them their whole lives. Sad for Tanya, who'd been deceived for years. And even sad for Marcus, because he'd become someone I didn't recognize. Someone who ran from responsibility instead of facing it. My phone rang. It was Jessica. Ma, I just heard. Are you okay? How did you hear? Terrence called me. He said Tanya called him crying, asking if they could stay at his place tonight. She called Terrence. Yeah, he said no. Told her they needed to figure this out on their own. Good for him. Ma, I'm so sorry. I know this must be devastating. I'm more angry than devastated, I admitted. All this time, I've been trying to help Marcus become a better man, teaching him responsibility, setting boundaries, and he's been hiding this the whole time. What are you going to do? I don't know yet, but Jessica, there's a little girl out there who needs support. Kennedy, Marcus's daughter, and her mother has been struggling alone for years. What are you thinking? I'm thinking I need to find out who she is, where she is, what she needs. Ma, that's not your responsibility. She's my granddaughter. Blood or not, legal obligation or not, she's family. And family takes care of each other. The next morning, I called Detective Morrison back. Detective, this is Geneva Price, Marcus's mother. Can you tell me how to get in touch with Kennedy's mother? Mrs. Price, I can't give out that information. I'm not trying to interfere with the case. I'm trying to help. That little girl is my granddaughter. I'd like to meet her, support her. There was a pause. Let me see what I can do. I'll have to ask the mother if she's willing to be contacted. I'll call you back. 3 hours later, he called back. Mrs. Price, Kennedy's mother's name is Shanice Williams. She's agreed to meet with you. I'm going to give you her number. I called Shanice that afternoon. Ms. Williams, my name is Geneva Price. I'm Marcus's mother. I know who you are, she said. Her voice was guarded. I just found out about Kennedy yesterday. I had no idea she existed, and I'm so sorry for that. Sorry that my son hasn't been there for her. Sorry that you've had to do this alone. Silence. Why are you calling me? She asked finally. Because I'd like to meet my granddaughter, if you're comfortable with that, and I'd like to help, if you'll let me. Help how? However you need, financially, emotionally, practically. Kennedy is my blood. She deserves to have family in her life. I heard her voice crack. Do you know how long I've waited for someone from Marcus's family to acknowledge her? 8 years. 8 years of him pretending she doesn't exist. I know, and I'm so sorry, but I'm here now, if you'll let me be. We talked for over an hour. She told me about Kennedy, how she was smart, funny, loved to dance, how she asked about her father constantly, how Shanice had tried for years to get Marcus to be involved and he just disappeared. Can I meet her? I asked. Maybe this weekend. Let me talk to her first. Prepare her. She's been hurt so much by Marcus's rejection. I don't want to get her hopes up. I understand, but Shanice, I promise you, I'm not going anywhere. I'm in this for the long haul. 2 days later, on Saturday morning, I drove to Shanice's apartment across town. It was in a modest neighborhood, not poor, but working class. The kind of place where people worked hard to make ends meet. Shanice answered the door. She was younger than I expected, only 32, beautiful, with kind eyes and a cautious smile. Mrs. Price. Please call me Geneva. She let me in. And there, sitting on the couch, was Kennedy. She looked just like Marcus had at that age. Same eyes, same smile, same dimple in her left cheek. Kennedy, this is your grandmother, your daddy's mama. Kennedy stood up shyly. Hi. Hi, sweetheart, I said, my voice thick with emotion. It's so nice to finally meet you. We spent the afternoon together. I asked Kennedy about school, her friends, her hobbies. She showed me her dance trophies. We baked cookies together in Shanice's small kitchen. And with every moment, I fell in love with this little girl. My granddaughter. The one Marcus had abandoned. Before I left, I pulled Shanice aside. How much does Marcus owe in child support? $32,000, plus interest. What if that debt was paid? Would you drop the warrant? Mrs. Price, you don't have to. I'm not doing it for Marcus. I'm doing it for Kennedy. And for you. No child should suffer because her father is irresponsible. That's a lot of money. I have it from my late husband's life insurance. I've been saving it for something important. This is important. Shanice started crying. Why would you do this? You don't even know us. Because Kennedy is my granddaughter, and because it's the right thing to do, but there's a condition. What? I want to be in Kennedy's life. Regular visits, being part of her life, being her grandmother. Yes, Shanice said immediately. Yes, absolutely. And I'm going to set up a college fund for her and provide regular support, not replacing Marcus's obligation. He still needs to step up, but supplementing it. Geneva, I don't know what to say. Say you'll let me love my granddaughter the way she deserves. Deal. When I left that afternoon, Kennedy hugged me tight. Will I see you again, Grandma Geneva? Every week, baby, I promise. That night, I called Marcus. We need to talk, I said. Ma, I know you're angry. I met Kennedy today. Silence. I met your daughter, the one you abandoned. She's beautiful, Marcus, smart, talented, everything you'd be proud of if you bothered to be in her life. Ma, I'm paying your child support debt. What? All $32,000. I'm paying it. The warrant will be dropped. Ma, you don't have to. I'm not doing it for you. I'm doing it for Kennedy and for Shanice. They've suffered enough because of your choices. Thank you. Don't thank me, because here's what's going to happen. You're going to get your act together. You're going to get your job at the warehouse. You're going to save money. And you're going to pay me back, every penny. I will, Ma, I promise. And more importantly, you're going to be a father to Kennedy. You're going to visit her, support her, be present in her life, because that little girl deserves better than what you've given her. I don't know if Shanice will let me. She will, because I asked her to, because Kennedy needs her father. But Marcus, if you hurt that little girl again, if you disappoint her, if you let her down, you're done. Do you understand me? Done. I understand. You have 3 daughters now. Aisha, Kennedy, and any relationship with me. Don't mess this up. Over the next several weeks, things slowly started to change. Marcus kept his warehouse job, worked hard, started saving money. Tanya kept her retail job. They found a small apartment they could afford, started rebuilding. They went to family counseling, worked through the betrayal, the lies, the hurt. It wasn't easy. There were setbacks, arguments, tears. But they were trying. And Marcus started visiting Kennedy, awkward at first. She was wary of him, and rightfully so. But slowly, tentatively, they started building a relationship. I brought Kennedy to meet her half-siblings. That was hard. Aisha and Marcus Jr. were hurt, confused, angry. But kids are resilient, and eventually they started to accept their sister. We had Sunday dinners together sometimes, all of us. Marcus, Tanya, their 3 kids, Shanice, and me. Blended, complicated, messy, but family. One evening, about 3 months after everything had blown up, Marcus came to visit me. Alone. "Ma, I need to tell you something." "I'm listening." "I've been going to therapy. Individual therapy, not just the family stuff." "That's good." "And I've been working through a lot. About why I make the choices I make. Why I run instead of facing things. Why I lie instead of being honest." "What have you learned?" He sat down heavily. "I learned that I've been scared my whole life. Scared of failing. Scared of disappointing people. Scared of not measuring up. And instead of facing that fear, I ran from it. Made excuses, blamed circumstances, took the easy way out. And I'm done running. I'm done making excuses. I'm done being the guy who lets everyone down." He pulled out an envelope and handed it to me. Inside was a check for $2,000. "It's not all of what I owe you," he said. "Not even close, but it's a start. And every month I'm going to give you more, until I've paid back every penny." I looked at the check, then at my son. "Marcus, this is good, really good. But you know what would mean more to me than money?" "What?" "Keep being a father to all 3 of your daughters. Keep being a husband. Keep being a man of integrity. That's worth more than any amount of money." He hugged me. "I'm going to make you proud, Ma, I promise." "You already are, baby. You're trying, you're growing. You're taking responsibility. That's all I've ever wanted." 6 months after that terrible night, when Marcus showed up at my door, I was hosting a family dinner. Not at my house, at the community center. Because my family had gotten too big for my dining room. All 3 of my children were there with their families. Jessica with her husband and 2 kids, Terrence with his wife and son, Marcus with Tanya and all 3 girls. Shanice came too, with Kennedy. And we sat around tables pushed together, eating food everyone had contributed to, laughing and talking and being family. It was messy, it was complicated, it was imperfect. But it was real. During dinner, I stood up to make a toast. "I want to say something," I announced. Everyone quieted down. "This year has been hard, really hard. We've faced truths we didn't want to face, had conversations we didn't want to have, made changes we didn't want to make." I looked around the table. "But we did it, we faced it, we grew, we changed, and now we're stronger." I raised my glass. To family, not perfect family, not easy family, but real family. The kind that tells the truth even when it hurts. The kind that sets boundaries even when it's uncomfortable. The kind that shows up even when it's hard. To family, everyone echoed. As I sat back down, Kennedy climbed into my lap. "Grandma Geneva, can I come stay with you next weekend?" "Of course, baby, I'd love that." Marcus watched us, his eyes full of emotion. "Thank you, Ma," he mouthed across the table. I nodded. Because that's what this had all been about. Not punishing Marcus, not being cruel or controlling, but teaching him what real love looks like. Love that sets boundaries, love that demands growth, love that speaks truth even when it's hard. Love that says, "I believe in you enough to make you uncomfortable. I believe in you enough to make you work. I believe in you enough to let you struggle so you can learn to stand." Later that night, as I drove home alone, I thought about that night 6 months ago, when Marcus had shown up at my door and said, "This is our home now." And I'd let him stay. Not because I was weak, not because I couldn't say no, but because I had a plan. A plan to teach my son what he needed to learn. A plan to show him what real responsibility looked like. A plan to help him become the man he was capable of being. And it had worked. Not perfectly, not easily, not without pain. But it had worked. Marcus had a job, an apartment, 3 daughters he was actively parenting, a marriage he was actively working on, a relationship with me built on honesty instead of dependence. He was standing on his own feet. Finally, when I got home, I walked through my quiet house. No one else's stuff cluttering the living room. No arguments, no tension. Just peace. And for the first time in months, I didn't feel lonely. I felt proud. Proud of my son for doing the hard work. Proud of myself for having the courage to demand more from him. Proud of my family for choosing growth over comfort. I sat down in my favorite chair and opened my Bible to a verse I'd been thinking about a lot lately. Whom the Lord loves, he disciplines. Discipline isn't cruelty, it's love in action. It's caring enough to make someone uncomfortable so they can grow. It's believing in someone enough to push them toward their potential. It's refusing to enable weakness because you know they're capable of strength. That's what I'd done for Marcus. Not because I wanted to control him, but because I loved him enough to make him grow. And as I sat there in my quiet, peaceful home, I whispered a prayer of gratitude. Thank you for giving me the strength to do what needed to be done. Thank you for the wisdom to know when to help and when to step back. Thank you for the courage to love my son enough to make him uncomfortable. Thank you for restoration, for healing, for second chances. I closed my Bible and smiled. Geneva Price had learned something important this year. That sometimes, the most loving thing you can do is say no. That sometimes, helping means not helping. That sometimes, you have to let people struggle so they can learn to stand. My son had shown up at my door and declared my home was his home. And I hadn't argued. But I hadn't rolled over either. I'd stood my ground, set my boundaries, demanded growth. And in doing so, I'd given him something more valuable than a free place to stay. I'd given him the tools to build his own life, to be his own man, to stand on his own feet. And that, I realized as I turned off the lights and headed to bed, was the greatest gift a mother could give. Not comfort, not rescue, but the belief that her child was strong enough to do hard things, and the courage to make them prove it.